Ah, pasaremos casi 40 minutos por la conversación y we're going to have enough time for you to ask questions para profundizar la conversación para ti y ver cómo puede participar en el futuro en conversaciones y Giovanni González y el equipo de MPB. So, Liz, anything you think we should add as we begin?
Creo que eso es todo. Y si necesitas que te traduzca o si alguien necesita que traduzca, me pueden dejar saber y yo voy traduciendo para todos.
That sounds good. All right. Now, esta conversación es una conversación para ti mismo. No es una ocasión para aprender algo. Esta tarde es una ocasión para ti para descubrir algo de what is it to be a human being. And to be a human being is to have 3 puntos ciegos que toda persona confronta al intentar crear un mejor ambiente en casa y en el trabajo. Both at home and at work, you are the same human being. And that human being has 3 blind spots. And these blind spots keep us, including me, in a box. And when I'm in that box, I behave like I'm in that box and I don't know it. And this conversation today is to help you see the box. I'm going to read some of the slides in Spanish. I'm going to speak in English. If at any point in time you want me to stop so Liz can translate for us, let's do that. So the conversation begins. You have 3 blind spots. Keep going, Liz. And these blind spots are significant because en la vida que tú vives, siempre estás hablando, ¿sí? Ser un líder, las personas que lideran efectivamente son personas que pueden comunicarse efectivamente. And this afternoon, as you discover the 3 blind spots, you will also discover your natural ability, una capacidad natural para comunicarse efectivamente sin aprender nada nuevo. That's the promise of this afternoon. And as we move to the next slide, you're going to begin to discover what we're up to. Todo que lo quieras conseguir en la vida depende de la posibilidad de dominar el arte de la comunicación. That's a big thing to say. Given that as a human being, you speak, and every relationship you're in. Pause for a moment and look. Cada relación que tú tienes, si sirve, all of it depends on how you communicate. So keep going, Liz. Each time I pause, go ahead and go to the next, and we'll go fast. In the entire world, el mundo entero es un escenario y todos los hombres y mujeres, meros actores. Ellos tienen sus líneas para la salida en entradas y un único hombre en su tiempo representa muchos papeles. Keep going, Liz. Now, are you the main actor in this play called life, or are you some actor, like the third or second actor in this play? This conversation we're having today, esa conversación, esta tarde, va a darte la capacidad de ser el protagonista de la película de tu vida. So how do you participate today? How do you get the most out of your participation today? I want you to look at the following. Our work, what matters in our work is not what I say. So I may say things in Spanish. I may say things in English. Don't worry about it. Sobre la dinámica de nuestro trabajo actual esta tarde, lo que importa no es lo que cubrimos en esa presentación, sino lo que tú descubres. So give yourself the permission to be here with the intention to discover what's going to be said, but not because of the words that are there, but because of what you trigger inside to create your own discovery. So it is my intention that you leave today with tools, with a capacity to be in life as a human being who says, I speak, therefore I lead. And given that you're leading, you also say, I am responsible for my leadership. Let's keep going. Now, to participate in this, there are ways that a human being relates to a conversation. In a normal conversation like this one, watch, you're doing it now. You may be comparing what you already know about communication with what I'm saying now. La trampa de lo que estoy hablando, you will find it in these bullets. Perhaps you're looking for the truth. Nada que yo voy a decir esta tarde es la verdad. So you have no burden to agree or disagree, to find out whether it's the truth or not, to see if it fits what you already know. Give yourself the freedom to try on what you're going to participate in this afternoon. You may be comparing this session with other sessions that you've been to. You may be comparing me, especially given that I'm speaking English to you, to another facilitator. That would be one of the traps. Don't let that fool you. All of that serves to take you from here, from where you are, and put you somewhere else. And that is, you're not present. So not being present is one of the traps. And you may be comparing yourself with other people. These are the traps. And as we go forward, you'll find yourself falling into one of these traps. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the nature of being human to actually fall into one of these traps. So let yourself be. And when you find yourself in one of those traps, take yourself right out. Raise your hand, ask a question. Cause yourself to be here, to be present. So let's go on, Liz. I want to plant a seed with you. If nothing happens for you this afternoon, let this happen for you. El poder de una semilla. Si pudieras lograr un gran avance en tu comunicación y en el liderazgo, ¿en qué área te gustaría lograrlo? I want to give two of you the opportunity to say, because it is in the saying that you end up having what it is that you're here for today. See, you did not come to this webinar just to spend time. You came because there's something really important to you in your life, in your business, in your family. And you want to create a huge breakthrough in your communication in an area of your life that's important to you. So raise your hand and share with me. You may share in Spanish, you may share in English. ¿En qué área te gustaría lograr algo? Okay, Jose. ¿Qué
All right.
quieres?
Yes, in my behalf, I would like to advance in communication with my new staff. I have a new staff for a new business, open it up. I would like to be able to communicate my vision. And that's what I'm interested on, and how to communicate my vision that I have for the new business we're about to open up. Try to develop better communication skills, how to communicate to them to see what I see in the future.
I got it. I got it. Jose, thank you. I promise you that as you generate being present this afternoon, you'll not only find out a way to communicate effectively your vision, but you'll begin to see for yourself a way to have the vision you're creating move you, touch you, inspire you. I'm committed to that. So I want to come back to you at the end to hear what you've discovered regarding communicating your vision. Will that work?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Liz, let's take it to the next step. Go one slide before that. Two more. Right there, go to the next one. So one of the things we're going to share with you at the end of this is the fact that this little conversation we're having is nothing but a seed. What you've just created is nothing but a seed. And yet, it would not be right for us to give you the seed and not give you the opportunity to plant the seed and have it grow in your life and your business. So at the end of this conversation, Liz and I are going to invite you to participate in a course called Access the Leader Within. That course is where you not only plant the seed, but for 2.5 days, you watch it grow. And for 2.5 days, you walk away with everything you need to have you be someone who's not only a master of communication, but a master of what it is to be a human being living here on this earth. So you'll hear about that more. So Let's keep going, Liz. We have a major problem in communicating effectively is that the way I see things is not the way you see things. The way you see things, Jose, is not the way your employees and your new team members see things. Maria Vega, the way you see things is not the way your family see them. Human beings have unique points of views anchored in the way they think they are, their past, and the current circumstances they're living in. So you take a bunch of people who are blind and you put them in front of an elephant. They will each tell you something different. But if they could see the way you see, they would all conclude, oh yeah, that's an elephant. So sometimes we are too close or blind and we don't know it. The entire course called Access the Leader Within is designed to remove one after the other, the blind spots. And in this conversation today, we're going to go through 3 of them. Imagine spending an entire weekend discovering blind spots after blind spots. How powerful would your life be? And how powerful and how free would you be to live the life you want and to have the people around you create the life they want? So let's see what's next, Liz. This is a big statement. Tu comunicación afecta a todo y a todos. When you open your mouth, you have an impact on everything. And you have an impact on everyone. Now, if I don't say anything else, and if you want to take just that as what you're getting for yourself and your leadership out of your participation today, take that with you. The moment you open your mouth, you're impacting everything. The moment you open your mouth, you're impacting everyone. So let's see how. Keep going, Liz. See, when you're speaking, you're not speaking in a vacuum. There are other people hearing you. You speak and something happens. It's not just noise. Whatever it is, whether it's coming from you being happy, whether it's coming from you being angry, whether it's coming from you being worried, your speaking has an impact on everything. Next, Liz. Your speaking impacts the people around you, your team members, your family members. You speak, they hear, and then they go speak, but they're not speaking from just some empty space. They're speaking out of the impact that your speaking had on them. And when they speak to others, they're speaking from that impact. So therefore, you could say that when you speak, cuando tú hablas, eso impacta todo y a todos, everyone. So your speaking is not cheap and your speaking is not in vain. Keep going, Liz. Keep going. You could say in a way that if your speaking impacts everyone and everything, tú eres un líder en el mundo. Tu forma de comunicarte influye en el mundo. Pause for a moment and really be with that. and you'll start to be interested in what is it? What does it look like to communicate effectively? What gives me the opportunity to communicate effectively? Could it be something other than how I speak? Let's see. Leadership, liderazgo y liderazgo efectivo son dos cosas distintas. Now, why do I say that? Because people lead all the time. See, when you speak, you're leading. But given how you've been relating to leading, you may not be leading effectively. So these three blind spots we're about to uncover is your access to effective leadership. And imagine discovering more than 3, 15, all possibly the blind spots that you have as a human being. That would leave you being very effective as a leader. So leadership and effective leadership are two different things. So let's take a look. What are the characteristics that a leader must have to lead? Or what are the characteristics that a leader must not have to lead? If you look in your life and in the world and in history, you'll find that there were plenty of people with the characteristics that you say a leader must have, and there were plenty of people with the characteristics that you say a leader must not have, who led. They led countries, they led companies. So in the end, I say to you that just the way you are, JG, just the way you are, Miriam,
Yes.
just the way you are whole, perfect, and complete, and ready to lead, just like any other human being. And yet, you have some blind spots. Just like every other human being, tenemos puntos ciegos que impactan nuestro liderazgo. Y cuando descubrimos los puntos ciegos, that gives us the opportunity to expand our leadership in a way that no learning, no hard work makes possible. But the discovery of those blind spots makes that possible. All right, so let's take a look and see what those blind spots are. How you elevate your leadership is not any different than how you lead. And if to lead is communicating, then to elevate your leadership is to elevate your capacity to communicate effectively. And you cannot elevate your capacity to communicate effectively without discovering the blind spots. So let's go to the first blind spot. Elevating your capacity to communicate effectively is not intuitive. No es intuitivo. You must first discover the blind spots, and then effective communication becomes natural. Let's take a look. Blind spot number 1. Tu capacidad para comunicarte efectivamente no aumenta por lo que dices, sino por cómo escuchas. See? Most people think that I communicate by speaking, and I communicate effectively by speaking. I lead effectively and as an effective communicator by speaking. No, that's a blind spot. First blind spot is tu capacidad para comunicarte efectivamente no aumenta por lo que dices, sino cómo escuchas. Now, let's see if that's a blind spot. How do we listen then? so that we know. Let's take a look. If it's not how we speak that elevates our capacity to communicate, it's not how you speak, it's how we listen. So what elevates our listening? To elevate our listening, we must first discover that it's about listening from an empty space. Se trata de escuchar desde un espacio vacío. See, human beings don't come empty. We come with something. Let's take a look. Where? There is already way too much noise up here. So I'm not empty. I come with my point of views, my opinions, my preconceived notions, my knowledge, everything that I know, my entire past I bring to the party. And I now want to communicate my vision to you, or I want to be in a relationship with you. But what you can discover now, if you give yourself the opportunity to, is you are never communicating until you discover this noise in your head. Ya hay demasiado ruido en tu mundo interno. Too much noise. That's the first blind spot, because mostly you and I relate to the noise in our heads as who we are. So with this blind spot, this is an opportunity to begin to discover that the noise in my head, el ruido en mi cabeza, que yo llamo mis pensamientos, mis emociones, todo eso, that's not me. But yet, if I relate to it as me, it leaves me speaking from it. So, estamos escuchando a un comentarista en nuestra cabeza. José, ¿tú puedes oír?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And that commentator in your head is what usually speaks. And today, everybody has the opportunity to have something else speak. You can now really speak if you don't let the commentator inside your head do the speaking for you. Let's take a look and see how. You're constantly listening to this commentator. Your relationship with people, the way they are and the way they're not, is not founded on reality. Let's take a look at the next slide. Keep going. Yes, when you're listening to the commentator, you're not listening to the people. Estás escuchando ahora mismo a un comentarista y no a mí. And in life, you do the same thing. Your relationship, tu relación con las personas como son y como no son, no se basa en la realidad, sino en una interpretación constante del comentarista. Pause for a moment. If you take nothing else from this conversation, look and see the last time you spoke to an employee, the last time you spoke to your son, the last time you spoke to your husband, the last time you spoke to your sister. You didn't hear them, but you heard what the commentator said to you. That's one of the biggest blind spots. We'll leave that one there. You'll have plenty of time to dig and expand that in Access the Leader Within. Let's take a look at the second blind spot. The second blind spot. Tienes que entender tus emociones. que no te dominen a la hora de comunicarte. See, most human beings pride themselves in being real. And what that means to them is that whatever they feel inside, that's what dictates how they communicate. Consider that while that feels good, and that's the way it's always been, it doesn't make you an effective leader, or an effective mother, or an effective sister, an effective boss. It only makes you a human being who is consistently responding to his or her emotion, el mundo interno, is the leader. You are not. So this second blind spot offers you a window to begin to look and be someone who leads deliberately in every and each moment. So the external world doesn't have to do that. The source of effective communication is emotional intelligence. So if you can distinguish the internal world, and relate to it for what it is, all of a sudden, you begin to discover and practice your natural capacity to have emotional intelligence. Porque la fuente de una comunicación eficaz es la inteligencia emocional. Let's take a look. How do you then, when I am someone who's responding to everything internally automatically, where does that leave me? Keep going, Liz. It leaves me defending all the emotions inside, all the points of views inside, as if there were the truth. You know, when you see the number 6, depending on where you're standing, it looks just like a 9. And unless I can move myself around to stand in your position, all I can see is a 9. And all you can see is a 6. All of the arguments in life, all of the wars in the world, all of the people at work who end up being fired, all of the relationships that are not working as well as you'd like them to, consider that they're all a function of not having seen this blind spot. That for a human being, who I am is someone who defends my emotions while not relating to it as a point of view. So let's keep going. Lots of information coming at you, and you'll have plenty of time to extract everything out of your participation in the course. The third blind spot. Now, this blind spot is going to give you a new life from this point forward, because to be a human being is to have a relationship with my past, una relación con mi pasado que me limita, limita la posibilidad de tener inteligencia emocional y por ende comunicarme efectivamente. Si tú quieres comunicarte efectivamente, si tú quieres liderar efectivamente, this third blind spot is essential. You have to create a new relationship with the past. Para ser un líder que se comunica efectivamente, tiene que crear una nueva relación con el pasado. And we're going to attempt to do that in the next 2 minutes. So let's go, Liz. You see, my past and your past has a tremendous impact on you and on leadership. Miriam, tú puedes hablar ahora.
Yes.
yo te voy a una pregunta para ti. ¿Dónde está el pasado?
In the past.
Nah. The past we're talking about in this blind spot, el pasado. Para un ser humano, el pasado no está en el pasado. El pasado. We locate our past in the future. Now, Jose, Miriam, muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Jose, tell me something that happened in the past and how it made you feel.
Happened in the past, a failure. It kind of
Okay.
makes me be more careful or worry about trying to do it again. I think that's what you mean when you say we have it in the future.
Exactly.
Like I don't want to try it again.
Exactly. Now, that one is obvious and you can see it, right?
Mhm.
What I want all of you to get is that the past that is in your future is not so obvious. See, a friend may have done something to you way in the past. And today, whenever you approach somebody new, the first thing that's there is you're going to defend a point of view you have about someone who did something way in the past. But that feeling, that thought, that attitude, those emotions show up every time. So unless you can relate to them in a way that leaves you free of them, they end up running your life. So what runs your life today is not the past, but rather the future you're living into. And let's take a look and see how. Go ahead, Liz. So if the past is not in the past, but it's in the future itself, which you and I don't know, is never a blank slate. This blind spot gives you the opportunity to now take the past that is in the future and put it in its proper place. Tú puedes ahora mismo sacar el pasado que está en tu futuro y tú puedes moverlo en el propio lugar, el pasado. Y si este pasado es en el pasado, ¿qué te dejas en el futuro? What does it leave you in your future? Let's take a look. When you take the past out of the future, go ahead, Liz. When you take the past out of the future, it leaves you with a blank slate. And on that blank slate, you can create anything you want. Para lograr un gran avance en nuestra capacidad para dominar nuestras emociones y por tanto elevar nuestra competencia para comunicar eficazmente y en última instancia nuestra capacidad para ser líderes en nuestra vida, necesitamos comprender el impacto que el pasado tiene en nuestra vida. And that's what we just created. Let's take a look and see how you can create that. You can create that simply by looking each moment in life and practicing discovering the 3 blind spots. And let's take a look at the 3 blind spots again to summarize and open it up for questions. Punto ciego 1. Tu capacidad para comunicarte eficazmente no aumenta por lo que dices, sino por cómo escuchas. And you can listen when you're present to the noise that's already there in your head. Punto ciego 2. Entender tus emociones y que no te a la hora de comunicarte. When you can see with blind spot number 2 that you are a human being just like me, defend your points of views and your emotions as if they are the truth. You could consider, maybe that's not the truth. And that leaves you with a brand new space from which to be with other human beings, from which to be with your team, from which to communicate a vision for your organization, not impacted by the third blind spot. Sí, sin descubrir el tercer punto ciego, todo que tú creas, todo que tú dices is being created by the past. And that's why it doesn't make a difference. El tercer punto ciego es tu relación con tu pasado limita la posibilidad de comunicarte efectivamente. You take these 3 blind spots, you practice them over and over. I guarantee you that your communication, your leadership will take a leap. You will create that breakthrough that you came to get here. So I want to take a moment and pause here, Liz. Liz, before I'll take a moment and have a couple of people say what they're getting, and then you present the future, okay? All right, so Jose, you said earlier that you wanted to walk away with the ability to communicate your vision to your team. Out of this conversation, what are you discovering that's leaving you free to do that?
Well, it's I guess it's going to be a work in progress for myself, because I do have a number 3, like tus relaciones en el pasado sometimes influence in how you communicate the present or the future to the people. So I guess I have to work on that, because like the sample that I did before, a failure in the past, it kind of prevent me from moving forward or try to think in the future. So I guess I do have to work in that part right there, and kind of get that past that I have in the future and move it to where it belongs, to the past, and open my mind in a way to communicate, so my staff can open their minds to what I look into the future. So that way, probably they'll be able to see what I see for the future of the company.
That's awesome, Jose. And I want you to know that where you go to work on that is not in your head or by yourself. It is on the court. So the place to work on that is in a conversation with your team, present to the fact that what you're saying may be coming from the past. And when you see that it's coming from the past, pause, acknowledge that with your team as the example of someone who's practicing not letting the past influence you. And then you create again. So now you're equipped to be on the court, playing the game of life. As I mentioned to you, all of you earlier, as human beings, you are whole, perfect, and complete just the way you are. And you have some blind spots. And the good thing is, whenever you can see the blind spots, it leaves you free of them. So while you said there's something to go work on, maybe there is nothing to work on, but there is practicing to do. As you said, it's a work in progress.
To be able to identify those blind spots. remove it and move forward.
Yeah. And
Great,
remember,
thank
you
you.
can't practice by yourself. It has to be with your team. All right.
Thank you.
All right. We have time for one more person. Who else would like to speak? ¿Quién quiere decir algo? ¿Qué estás llevando para ti, para tu familia, para tu negocio desde esta conversación? Da, 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 da. Okay. Liz, no questions, no comments. Let's move forward. I want to give you the opportunity to present the future to the group. Si esta conversación, como dice José, es una invitación para practicar vivir como un ser humano que está, who is awake and not living as a robot. And this course that Liz is going to present to you gives you the opportunity to live deliberately, not like a robot. Liz.
Gracias, Robert. Bueno, listo. Entonces les quiero compartir el curso que nosotros hemos creado como la posibilidad de expandir no solo los puntos ciegos que vimos hoy, sino muchos más en la vida entera y en la posibilidad de lo que ser un líder puede ser. Este próximo curso es la próxima semana, el 25 del viernes 25, sábado 26 y domingo 27. En este QR pueden registrarse, pero les voy a compartir un poco más de lo que tiene el curso en sí mismo, lo que viene incluido. Usualmente, pues, nosotros incluimos en la compra del ticket el curso por los 3 días. Tenemos un curso online que viene con esto y es una suscripción a Ultimate Entrepreneurship Program. Es un curso súper chévere que aborda 3 aspectos fundamentales de los líderes: marketing, mindset y team building. Y lo tienen disponible por 3 meses, está incluido. Y hay 5 sesiones de seguimiento en grupo que las hacemos por Zoom y profundizan otros principios del liderazgo para fortalecer pues todo lo que ya veamos. El libro de la mente de un inmigrante, que es escrito por Giovanni, un manual de trabajo que utilizamos para para los días del curso, el grupo privado en Facebook donde creamos una comunidad, y un artículo que es un bestseller en Amazon, que se llama El arte y la ciencia de crear equipos de alto rendimiento. Usualmente todo esto, pues hacemos como todo el paquete para que pueda fortalecer al líder en todo. Realmente lo que importa es que queden todo fortalecido. Y por hoy estamos manejando un precio de $447. Es un precio individual y la idea es que ustedes puedan aprovecharlo porque pues siempre está moviéndose, teniendo en cuenta que el curso cada vez va fortaleciéndose más. Además, pues del artículo, este es como el artículo El arte y la ciencia, el libro de la mente de un inmigrante, y de esta manera se ve el curso online, donde tiene muchos capítulos, ya no recuerdo cuántos tiene, pero son muchos capítulos cortos, es muy fácil de ver y deja muchísimo contenido para poder ir fortaleciendo todas las habilidades que vemos. Entonces, pues la invitación es a que se registren hoy y que pues se den la oportunidad de fortalecer todo lo que vimos hoy y de darle espacio a ver muchos más puntos ciegos que ya tenemos por ser seres humanos. También hay 3 posibilidades de pago, facilidades de pago: 2 pagos de 250, 3 pagos de 200 y 5 pagos de 125. Sí, de pronto es más fácil hacerlo de esa manera. Si tienen alguna pregunta, por favor, déjenme saber. Y aquí estamos para ustedes. That's it.
Liz, I'd love for you to translate for me, okay?
Okay.
Now, why do this course?
¿Por qué hacer este curso?
I'm not going to tell you why, but I'm going to share with you the way my life was before I did this course.
No te voy a decir por qué hacerlo, pero te voy a compartir cómo era mi vida antes de este curso.
It was in 1999.
Fue en 1998.
At that time, I was married barely 7 years.
En ese momento llevaba más o menos 7 años de matrimonio.
And I had been telling my wife that I was going to start a business.
Y le había estado diciendo a mi esposa que estaba por iniciar o que quería iniciar un negocio.
Every day of our 7-year marriage,
Cada día por los 7 años de matrimonio,
in some way, shape, or form, I was saying to my wife, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a business.
de cualquier manera yo le decía a mi esposa, voy a iniciar un negocio, voy a iniciar un negocio.
But what I didn't know is I had a relationship with my past.
Pero lo que yo no sabía es que yo tenía una relación con mi pasado.
That was in my blind spot.
Y eso estaba en mi punto ciego.
And that relationship with my past said to me,
Y esa relación con mi pasado me decía,
you need to have a PhD before you start your business.
tú necesitas tener un PhD antes de empezar tu negocio.
You need to save 2 years of your salary before you start a business.
Tú necesitas ahorrar 2 años de tu salario antes de empezar un negocio.
If you don't, you're going to fail and your entire family is going to become poor.
Si no lo haces, tú vas a fallar y toda tu familia se va a quedar pobre.
And finally, my wife looked at me after telling her one more time I was going to start a business.
Y pude ver a mi esposa después de una vez más de decirle que iba a empezar un negocio.
She said, you never will.
Ella dijo, tú nunca lo harás.
That weekend that I spoke to her and she said that, I did this course, a course just like this.
Ese fin de semana que ella dijo eso, yo hice un curso como este, justo como este.
2 weekends after the course,
2 semanas después del curso,
I started my business.
empecé mi negocio.
My wife and I run a business that serves over 52 employees in 3 states.
Mi esposa y yo empezamos un negocio que tiene alrededor de 50 empleados y está en 3 estados.
The blind spots.
Eso jamás habría pasado si yo no hubiese descubierto ese punto ciego.
So you have an opportunity to discover those blind spots and create a brand new life for yourself.
Así que tienes la oportunidad de descubrir esos puntos ciegos y crear una gran vida para ti, por ti mismo.
We're going to end now. I want to say thank you
Vamos a terminar ahora. Gracias.
for the opportunity for me to practice Spanish and for the opportunity for you to practice listening to English.
Gracias a todos por el espacio de escuchar en inglés, practicar inglés y desarrollar de hablar en español.
Whichever way you go, whatever you do,
Cualquier cosa a donde vayas y cualquier cosa que hagas,
all is well because you are whole, perfect, and complete just the way you are.
todo está bien porque tú eres completo, justo de la manera que eres.
And I'm inviting you, committedly inviting you
Y te estoy realmente invitando
to check in with the MPD team and to register yourself to do this course.
a chequear con nosotros, a hablar con nosotros y a registrarte para hacer este curso.
And I'll be seeing you again soon.